There are places in this world that don't follow the rules. Places where your coffee stays hot for 3 hours. Where the clock on the wall seems to forget how to move forward. Where every person who walks through the door is someone you were supposed to meet. Maya Chen found one of these places on the worst night of her life. She'd just gotten her 5th rejection letter that week. Another firm telling her they didn't need an architect. Another door closing in her face. She was 29, broke, and starting to wonder if she'd made a terrible mistake with her whole life. The rain was coming down hard that Tuesday night. The kind of rain that soaks through your coat and makes you question every choice you've ever made. Maya was walking nowhere in particular, just walking, when she saw it. A small cafe tucked between a laundromat and a bookstore on Maple Street. The windows were glowing warm yellow, and she could see people inside, talking, laughing. She'd walked the street 100 times before. She'd never seen this cafe, but there it was. Maya pushed through the glass door, and the first thing she noticed was the smell. Coffee, yes, but something else too. Something that reminded her of her grandmother's kitchen. Something safe. The second thing she noticed was the warmth. Not just temperature warm, but the kind of warm that makes your shoulders drop and your breathing slow down. The kind of warm that says you can stay here as long as you need to. The third thing she noticed was impossible. There, sitting at a table by the window, was a coffee cup. Steam was rising from it in perfect spirals. Next to it was a newspaper folded open to the job section. Several listings were circled in red ink. The ink was still wet. Maya looked around. The cafe was half full, but everyone seemed lost in their own conversations. No one was looking at the abandoned table. No one seemed to care about the hot coffee that should have been cold hours ago. She walked to the counter, water still dripping from her coat. "What can I get you?" The barista was a man in his 50s, gray hair, kind eyes. His name tag said Sam. I don't know. What's good?" Sam smiled. "How about a hazelnut latte? Extra hot." Maya stared at him. Hazelnut latte extra hot was exactly what she wanted. It was her comfort drink, the thing she ordered when the world felt too big and she felt too small. But she'd never been here before. She'd never told him that. "How did you?" "Lucky guess," Sam said, already turning to make her drink. "Why don't you sit anywhere you like? That table by the window just opened up." Maya looked back at the table with the steaming coffee and the wet ink circles. There was no one there. There had been no one there since she walked in. She sat down anyway. The coffee was perfect. Not just good, perfect. The temperature, the sweetness, the foam. It was like someone had reached into her mind and made exactly what she needed. Maya picked up the newspaper. The job listings were circled, all right, but they weren't random. Every single one was for architectural firms. Every single one was looking for someone with her exact experience. She was still staring at the paper when someone sat down across from her. "Excuse me," the woman said. "I hope you don't mind. All the other tables are taken." Maya looked around. The cafe was maybe half full. There were plenty of empty tables. But she said, "No, that's fine." The woman was older, maybe 70, with silver hair pulled back in a neat bun. She had a sketchbook open in front of her and was drawing with smooth, confident strokes. "I'm Mrs. Chen," the woman said without looking up from her drawing. Maya Chen." Now Mrs. Chen looked up. Her eyes were sharp, interested. "Chen? That's not common. Where's your family from?" "Taiwan originally. My grandparents came over in the 50s. Mrs. Chen nodded slowly. "Mine too. Different time, same dream." She turned her sketchbook around. "What do you think?" Maya's breath caught in her throat. The drawing was of a building she knew by heart. Every line, every window, every detail was perfect. It was the Riverside Public Library, the place where she'd spent every afternoon after school as a kid, the place where she'd first fallen in love with architecture. That's the Riverside Library. You know it. I practically lived there growing up. It's the most beautiful building I've ever seen. The way the light comes through those tall windows, the way the space flows from room to room. Whoever designed it was a genius. Mrs. Chen smiled. "That's very kind of you to say." Something cold ran down Maya's spine. You designed it? 40 years ago this month. My first major project. Mrs. Chen closed the sketchbook gently. I was about your age. Scared out of my mind that I'd mess it up. Maya felt like the world was tilting. But that's impossible. I mean, what are the odds? I just happened to sit down with the person who designed my favorite building. Mrs. Chen picked up her coffee cup. Steam was still rising from it, even though she'd been sitting there for at least 20 minutes. Some people don't believe in coincidences, she said quietly. Maya was about to ask what she meant when the door opened again. A man came in, shaking rain from his jacket. He was maybe mid-30s, tall, with the kind of tired eyes that said he'd been working too many long nights. He looked around the cafe, scanning the tables. His eyes stopped on Maya and Mrs. Chen. "Excuse me," he said, walking over. "Would you mind if I joined you? I just need somewhere to sit and work, and everywhere else is." Maya looked around again. Still plenty of empty tables. "Of course," she heard herself saying. The man sat down and pulled out a laptop. "I'm James," he said. "Thanks for this. I know it's weird, asking to share a table with strangers. What kind of work keeps you out this late?" Mrs. Chen asked. James rubbed his eyes. "I'm an architect, working on a proposal that's due tomorrow, and I just can't seem to get it right." Maya's heart jumped. "You're an architect?" "Yeah. You?" I'm trying to be. Having a hard time finding work." James looked at her more carefully. "What's your focus?" "Sustainable design. Green buildings, low-impact construction. I know it sounds idealistic, but I really think we can build better. Build smarter." Something changed in James's expression. "That's exactly what I'm working on right now. A sustainable housing project for low-income families. I've got the funding, I've got the location, but I need someone who really understands green architecture." He paused. "Someone who cares about it the way you seem to." Maya felt her pulse quicken. "Are you offering me a job?" "I'm saying maybe we should talk, but not tonight. Tonight feels too..." He gestured around the cafe. "I don't know. Too strange. Like this conversation was supposed to happen." Mrs. Chun made a small sound, almost like a laugh. "Maybe it was." They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, each lost in their own work. Maya kept looking at the job listings in the newspaper, but she wasn't really seeing them anymore. She was thinking about James's project, about the possibility that maybe, just maybe, her luck was changing. The door chimed again, and this time a young girl came in. She couldn't have been more than 16, with nervous energy and a backpack that looked heavy enough to carry textbooks. She approached the counter hesitantly. Excuse me," Maya heard her say to Sam. "Do you have Wi-Fi? I need to finish an assignment, but our internet is down at home." "Of course," Sam said. "Password is second chances, all lowercase. Why don't you find a table?" The girl looked around, and once again, her eyes went straight to Maya's table. "This is getting ridiculous," Maya muttered under her breath, but she waved the girl over anyway. "Thanks," the girl said, settling into the fourth chair. "I'm Sophia. I promise I'll be quiet." "What kind of assignment?" Mrs. Chun asked kindly. Sophia sighed. "Architecture portfolio. I'm applying for a summer program, but I don't know if my drawings are any good. I don't really know anyone who can tell me." Maya, James, and Mrs. Chun all looked at each other. "Can we see?" James asked. Sophia hesitated, then pulled a folder from her backpack. She spread several drawings across the table. They were good, really good. The kind of good that made Maya remember why she'd fallen in love with architecture in the first place. "These are incredible," Maya said. "You're 16. Sophia nodded. "My dad thinks it's a waste of time. Says I should focus on something more practical." "Practical?" Mrs. Chun repeated, an edge to her voice. "You know what's practical? Buildings that don't fall down. Spaces that make people happy. Cities that work for everyone who lives in them." She touched one of Sophia's drawings gently. "This is practical." James leaned forward. "What summer program are you applying to?" "The Morrison Institute. They take 20 students nationwide." "I know Morrison," James said. I went there 15 years ago. It changed my life. He pulled out his phone. I still know some people there. Would you like me to put in a word? Sophia's eyes went wide. You'd do that? But you don't even know me. Maya laughed, surprising herself. None of us know each other. But somehow, she gestured around the table. Somehow this feels right. Sam appeared at their table with a fresh pot of coffee. Refills? He asked, but he was already pouring. Maya noticed her cup had been empty, but she couldn't remember drinking it all. Sam, she said as he poured. How long have you owned this place? Oh, I don't own it, Sam said. I just work here. Been working here for, let me think, about 30 years now. Who owns it then? Sam smiled. Nobody really knows. The building's been here forever, and the cafe just exists. People come when they need to. They meet who they need to meet. They leave when they're ready. He finished pouring and started to walk away, then turned back. But I will say this, he added quietly. In 30 years, I've never seen anyone sit at that table who didn't find exactly what they were looking for. Maya looked around the table. Mrs. Chen, the architect who'd inspired her career. James, who might be offering her the job she'd dreamed of. Sophia, who needed the same encouragement Maya wished she'd had at that age. What time is it? She asked suddenly. James checked his phone. 3:30. In the morning? Yeah. Maya looked at her own phone. He was right. They'd been talking for hours, but it felt like minutes. The coffee was still hot. The conversation still felt fresh. The warm, golden light in the cafe hadn't changed at all. This is impossible, she whispered. Mrs. Chen reached across the table and patted her hand. Some things don't need to be possible, dear. They just need to be true. Sophia was showing her drawings to James, talking animatedly about sustainable materials and natural light. Mrs. Chen was sketching again, but this time she was drawing the four of them around the table. Maya watched them and felt something she hadn't felt in months. Hope, connection, like maybe she wasn't as alone in the world as she'd thought. I should give you my number, James said to Maya. I'm serious about that project. I think we could do something really special together. And I want to help you with your portfolio, Maya said to Sophia. I remember being your age, having no one to talk to about design. It's hard. Mrs. Chen tore a page from her sketchbook and handed it to Maya. It was the drawing of all four of them, but at the bottom she'd written an address. My studio, she explained. Come by this weekend. Both of you. I have some original blueprints from my early projects, including that library you love so much. They might inspire something. Maya stared at the drawing. In it, they all looked like they belonged together, like they were family. I don't understand what's happening here, she said. You don't have to understand it, Sam said from behind the counter. You just have to let it happen. Suddenly, Maya became aware of time again. The clock on the wall read 4 a.m. The rain outside had stopped completely. The warm, golden light in the cafe seemed to be growing just a little bit cooler. I should probably go, she said reluctantly. Me too, James said. But let's talk tomorrow? I mean later today. They exchanged phone numbers, real phone numbers. Made real plans to meet at a real office building downtown. Sophia got Mrs. Chen's studio address and James's contact at the Morrison Institute. As they gathered their things, Maya realized her coffee cup was finally empty. Cold even. The newspaper in front of her had changed too. The red circles were gone, and the ink looked normal, dry. Did you all see? She started to say, then stopped. It didn't matter what they'd seen. What mattered was what they'd found. They walked to the door together, stepping out into the cool, quiet night. The street looked different somehow. Normal. The cafe behind them still glowed warm and welcoming, but it seemed smaller now. More ordinary. Maya turned back to wave goodbye to Sam, but the interior lights had dimmed. She could see him moving around inside, cleaning up, preparing to close. Tomorrow, James said, shaking her hand. I mean today. Later today. Today, Sophia agreed, clutching her portfolio and Mrs. Chen's address. Today, Mrs. Chen nodded. They walked in different directions, but Maya noticed they all turned back once to look at the cafe. It was still there, still warm, still impossible. Maya walked home through empty streets, her mind buzzing with possibilities. A job that mattered, a mentor who understood her dreams, a chance to help someone else the way she'd needed help. When she got to her apartment, she looked out her window toward Maple Street. She could just make out the glow of the cafe in the distance, like a small star that had decided to live on the ground. 3 months later, Maya and James's sustainable housing project broke ground. Sophia got into the Morrison Institute with a full scholarship. Mrs. Chun came out of semi-retirement to consult on the project, bringing 40 years of experience and a network of contacts who believed in building better. They met every Tuesday night at a different cafe now, a normal cafe where the coffee got cold and the conversations had clear beginnings and ends. They'd tried to find the little place on Maple Street again, all of them, but it was never there when they looked for it. Sometimes Maya would walk down that street late at night, hoping. The laundromat was still there. The bookstore was still there. But between them was just a narrow alley that led to a brick wall. She didn't mind. She'd gotten what she came for that night. They all had. But sometimes, when the rain is falling just right and the city feels too big and too lonely, Maya wonders if somewhere out there, another lost soul is about to discover a little cafe tucked on a corner. A place where the coffee stays warm no matter how long you sit. A place where everyone who walks through the door is someone you were meant to meet.